Elia presents the Underdog podcast, where we have life conversations and share stories. I am Mike Kim, and I'm here with a very special guest. I met this man 2012. I was at Collaboration Seattle with Andrew Fung and Richie Lee. And
wow, 2007.
I saw this band on stage, and the crowd went nuts. And I didn't know who they were, and Andrew kind of looked at me crazy. And I was like, huh. And he schooled me on New Heights. I think it was like a few months later, I was at ISA Seattle, and that band was there again. And I went home that day, and I tweeted, this guy knows everyone I know. Why don't I know him?
Oh, that's right.
Yeah. And he tweeted back, forget them, let's just link up. And like that weekend, we met up at Starbucks at SeaTac Mall, or the Commons as they go.
Was that where we did?
Yeah, Starbucks.
I thought it was Shinsung first.
No.
No, not even.
Later, yeah.
Oh.
Starbucks. And I swear from the first time we spoke, I felt like I've known him forever. And we talked about everything. He's actually the guy who talked to me about the halal guys on 53rd and 6th. I was going to New York.
Yeah.
And I went with Stacy, and it was a great time. One of the kindest people I've ever met.
Oh, man.
Singer, songwriter, mixer, producer, all-around genius, Travis Atreo.
No,
What's up, man?
You're too kind, bro. You're too kind.
No.
That's too nice. Thank you.
How you been? It's good.
Good, man. I'm getting over a cold because I was in Seattle and it was hella cold.
No, it's just warm out here. It's December.
Yeah,
It's sunny.
it's-
We're in a
it's-
cabana in December.
We are
outside.
literally right now. It's pretty awesome.
Yeah.
No, I'm just getting over a cold, but everything's good, man. It's the holiday season.
Yeah.
Everything's good.
So for those of you that don't have the pleasure of knowing Travis, he schooled me so much over the years on everything entertainment, business, and we're outside. We got kicked out.
We got planes and
Yeah.
it's funny. It's live. It's live.
Right. So I remember the story, but I want you to go into details. You took vocal lessons because someone said you have a talent in singing when you were 13 or 12.
Something like that. Yeah.
When did you know you could sing?
I didn't know I could. Honestly, I never thought it was like I could sing. It was always like my mom was a singer. My grandma was she was a singer, but also like a director of music in the Philippines and stuff.
Wow.
Yeah, for the school that she was the principal of. So she was very musical. She taught all this music, and so singing for me was just more of like I was playing guitar at the time. I played like clarinet.
So you played guitar first?
yeah.
Okay.
And I was like playing like bass and stuff in the band, and I just wanted to sing just because I wanted to be able to like sing with the band. So then my mom was like, okay, well we'll put you in singing lessons and voice lessons, and
That's awesome.
so I started doing that, and then that's where I kind of started to develop my voice. And it's funny, man. I was back in Seattle last week, and my dad pulled out this old one of our first recordings, our demos,
Is this New Heights?
New Heights
Oh,
demo, yeah.
okay.
And it was so bad. Like it's so funny because that's why I have a
Is
hard
this the one
time.
you posted on the story, I think? You were like,
Yes.
Okay.
It's funny because like you asked me when did you know that you could start singing, and like honestly, I haven't felt comfortable with my voice until like now. So.
Wow. Give me that back, actually.
Oh, yeah, sure.
I didn't know that. Actually, I have no interns for this, so I had to look up everything myself. And I went and listened to the oldest New Heights things you uploaded
Mhm.
and everything. And even like the viral songs like Peaches and stuff, your voice is monumentally better now.
Oh,
It's
thanks, man.
ridiculous. And I didn't even know that until I heard it back to back.
Yeah, I think it just took a long time. I mean, to get back to your original question, I think I started developing a voice at 15, and then it wasn't until way later in life that I started to feel actually comfortable with it, because as a singer, it was like I had all these influences, like personal influences, producers, my voice teacher, influencing me on how to sing, and kind of like I was taking a lot of the stuff that they told me very literally. So I was singing like how they were telling me to sing, rather than
Finding your own voice.
finding my own voice. And also at the time too, I had a lot of like the people I looked up to, like the artists that I looked up to, weren't really singers. They were like
What were they?
like Chris Kravitz from Dashboard Confessionals and like Newfound Glory. They weren't singers, you know what I mean? They sang in
not vocalists.
not vocalists, yeah. And then it wasn't until later on in life that I started to like really hear and listen to vocalists.
I would have never taken that. I feel like you have a very R&B-esque influence soulful.
Yeah,
sound.
I was definitely very influenced at a younger
Like you were in
age.
a band first?
Well, so my musical influences were like, it was first like R&B, like hip hop, like that stuff, like Lauryn Hill, As Yet, Blackstreet,
Wow.
like those were my influences.
Golden
Boys
era.
to Men, yeah, and then all of a sudden something happened. My friends started listening to like pop rock or like pop punk,
Uh-huh.
and so started listening to like Blink-182 and all that. So then at that time is when I started to sing and started being in a band. So then my influences vocally were those bands.
Okay.
Like the music, like has always been with me, for like the R&B side has always been with me, but then from a vocal standpoint, it was always like those guys. So it was weird because like I had listened to so much rock music that I was kind of suppressing my own vocal abilities.
Yeah.
You know, it's for just myself,
Yeah.
and I was kind of squashing them, thinking that I wanted to make pop punk music, and it wasn't. And I feel like the other person that can like relate to this would be like AJ Raphael. Like AJ's got a great voice.
You can tell by the way you guys wore your hair in high school.
Yeah.
What kind of musical influences you had in that time.
Exactly. Yeah. And it's funny because then I think both of us, and I don't want to speak for him, but just from the conversations him and I have had, we've both kind of realized who we are as people, as artists, after getting over that, and then we really found our voices, I think, after that whole scene. But yeah, man, it's been great. I'm very happy. I mean, I'm comfortable with my voice now. There's still a lot of improvement that I feel like I need, and want to get better. And everyone here is an amazing. That's the thing about LA. It's like people are not just
Right, we're in LA right now.
Yeah, people are not just amazing. They're incredible out here.
Do you think that kind of environment pushes you to work harder than
Yeah.
you would have if you stayed home?
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's the biggest thing for me that LA has been. I felt like I had hit my own ceiling of expectation for myself in Seattle, just because I wasn't surrounded with a reality of music,
Yeah.
you know, being a career. I didn't have anyone, and anyone that I did know was moving away,
Right.
you know, to Nashville or wherever. And so for me, it was like the biggest thing to just be around other people. You know, people, it can go one of two ways. You get down here and you look at other successful people, and then you can get competitive,
Yeah.
and then you can look down on yourself and be like, oh, woe is me, what am I doing? Or you can use that and like ignite it, you know, and ignite that fire within you and really work harder. And thankfully I was able to use it like that, and I'm just constantly able to use it like that. Like there is no difference between me and the other successful people here. I just feel like in my abilities, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Not in like a cocky way at
Yeah,
all, but
yeah.
in like a way of like my own expectations for myself.
Yeah.
It helps me improve and manage my expectations to a higher level.
Not to jump around too much, I wanted to keep it chronologically at first.
Oh yeah, sorry.
So we went. No. That was great insight. From high school, you went to Northwest University.
Yes.
Right? And when
Yeah.
you went, what were you gonna study, or did you know what you were gonna study?
Yeah, so I was really involved in church in junior high and high school. So at first I thought I was going to be a pastor.
Okay.
And then when I got to Northwest, I noticed there's a degree in worship leading.
Uh-huh.
And worship leading is just, you know, leading the band at a church and leading the whole music department at a church.
Okay.
So that's kind of what I was going to do. And that was the degree that I was pursuing.
And how long were you there before you left?
I was there for a semester.
And did you know then that you were gonna pursue music?
I did. At that time, the band I was in, New Heights, was getting busy too. So that was always the main thing on my mind.
Is this before Peaches at that point? I don't know the actual.
So Peaches was actually written like in 2006.
Okay.
So it was like Peaches happened,
Peaches
and then
blew up from that video.
yeah, like years later.
Yeah.
Which is
Okay.
yeah.
Right, because it was already established.
Right. So Peaches hadn't blown up yet, and but yeah, I was going to school at Northwest for worship leading and stuff, and then I just kind of realized, one, I'm paying too much money and I'm kind of in debt because my
Yeah.
student loans are
It's a
yeah.
private university.
private university, and then the irony of it was that I would have, because I was already playing at churches and like getting paid
Right.
at churches
Right.
already, and so the degree I was pursuing was to do what I was
Already doing.
yeah, it's like being like
That's amazing that you figure that out one semester in. Because a lot
Yeah.
of people figure that out at the end
Yeah.
or after they've already completed it.
Right. I think I just what I realized about music is that it's not like a degree hierarchy uh, system. It's not like like it's not like you're getting your doctorate or getting like your
Well, I mean, what's that university called in Florida? Full Sail? Is that
oh
what
yeah
it's
yeah
called?
yeah yeah
Like, for people, I mean, not just, I don't want to slight your abilities because you're really talented and you're a hard worker.
Thanks,
And
man.
if someone if lacks one or the other, would an educational system for, especially if you're going to produce
Yeah.
or sound engineer,
Yeah.
does that help, you think?
I think it's solely based on the person. I'm very biased, and I would say just because of what I went through and how I learned everything was on my own and through pursuing other, um, other like programs. I think if you really benefit from the school system,
Yeah.
then I think that it will benefit you because that's just how you learn.
Right.
For me, wasn't very good at the school system, and so it wasn't until I got out of it and realized a lot of what was holding me back was how I learned.
So
Then it kind of broke the mold.
you were already in New Heights when you got to Northwest.
Yeah.
When was New Heights formed?
New Heights was formed in 2006,
And you graduated high school in
2005.
Okay.
Yeah.
How'd you guys meet? How'd you meet Chris?
We met because in Seattle there's a lot of Korean people. There's it's like Korean people and Filipino people, and we're all friends.
Okay.
And so
Especially in Federal Way where you grew up.
yeah. And so I had a lot of Korean friends, and they invited me to. I remember Heidi O.
Heidi O.
You know Heidi?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Small world. But Heidi invited me because she was doing a cafe night. These cafe nights were like the fundraiser for people that were going on mission trips. That's what they were before. And so I had a lot of friends.
I played into the stereotype right now. I just feel like all the Koreans and Filipinos know each other. I played into that. Sorry.
Totally. and so she invited me to play this cafe night for a fundraiser, and so I did, because I was writing like some music, and then I saw like the rest of the band at the time.
Oh, so they were already.
They were they were all playing. They were at different churches, but they all played music together, just like randomly for
Did
stuff.
they have the name already?
No. And the thing is, the only person I knew in that group was my friend Kyung. Kyung Park.
He does the video for all the.
Yeah, it's awesome to see him do that, and we went to high school together, so I knew him. We'd sit, we were friends and stuff, and then I saw him playing with this group, and I was like, oh, they're really good, and so I just went up to them after, and I was like, hey, let's talk and hang out, and then that's how I met Chris, and then that was the start of it, and then we started to get together and start playing, and yeah.
And when did you guys start? I mean, by the time I knew who you were, right? So you had already a following, right? When did you start getting booked like out of the state and shows that were like not just local based?
It wasn't until, the journey with New Heights was really interesting because it was very growing for all of us, and for me, because this was like MySpace days, and so we started to see that. We did one EP, and we were like kind of playing around randomly on that, and then we did another EP, and it was that second one that started to gain some traction on MySpace, and it started to get some plays and views, and we were like, whoa, people are actually listening to this.
Right.
And then we got contacted by EMI in Nashville.
Oh wow.
And so then that started the whole journey of like, okay, let's try and get signed by this label. So let's kind of put all of our efforts into, because before then it was kind of like, well, let's just
a different era. This wasn't like
yeah.
yeah.
And so it was very traditional music industry.
Yes.
Like, do everything that the label tells you to do, because they're the ones that are going to invest all the money into like putting you on.
Right.
So then we started doing that. We were like, okay, let's just try to do everything we can to get signed, because this will be our lives, And then it wasn't until like that label thing, they just kind of passed on us.
Yeah.
And it was like a good year of like putting all of our efforts and
Sure.
like booking like flights there, writing with their writers, like paying for a lot of stuff out of pocket to kind of prove to them like, hey, we're serious.
Yeah.
And it just, at the end of the day, they just passed on us. But it couldn't have been like a better thing. So yeah, and then it wasn't until after that then we started to like pursue like colleges and pursue like the YouTube thing, like really become like champion becoming independent artists. And then at that time was when we started to realize like, oh, there's people that are listening to us, like colleges, college groups started wanting to book us, and then that's when we started doing it.
So then, when did you start getting the feeling of wanting to go solo?
I mean, it was. I mean, for the longest time, like my musical interests have always been very diverse and very different, and I hate.
Travis is quite the
I hate saying that because I feel like everyone says that, but it's like really. I mean, not just from like a listening standpoint, but from like production standpoint. I'll produce like beats for rappers.
Yeah.
I'll produce like, you know, country songs. I'll produce like very like soundtrack stuff. It's very eclectic, and it's just because I've always loved different styles of music.
This is the part that separates you, I think, from a lot of the YouTube peers that you are collaborating with, and in that scene in general, is that you actually mix and engineer not just your stuff but other artists' stuff. Like you did Joseph Vincent's album. You did a lot of Funk Bros songs. Richie's too, right? Richie Lee's.
Yeah.
You did Jason too at one point.
Yeah.
Like, I'm sure there's a long list in your resume that you don't like to talk about too much, but you know, having those abilities, how important do you think that's been in sustaining like your survival, especially when you first moved out here?
Yeah, it's funny.
You started a whole new channel,
right?
With no subscribers, though you built something.
Thanks, man. Yeah, it was. I moved out here because New Heights really, I felt like, is kind of at the time. We'd been doing it. It was, dude, we were doing it from 2006 until 2013.
What year did you move to LA?
2013.
Wow, it's been that long.
Yeah, and so, you know, for like post high school, all of my college years and like the majority of my 20s, you know,
Right.
pursuing New Heights.
Your whole young adult life.
Yeah, and I was trying to make this a career. Me and Chris were working really hard trying to make it a career, and I, you know, it's great. Me and Chris are on great terms, but I did feel like I kind of let him down. I pretty much what happened is I was just so tired, and I wanted to be able to make music a career, and it didn't feel like it was working, everything that we did. So I moved down to LA with the notion of thinking that I was no longer going to perform anymore.
Oh, so you were going to strictly just do the behind the scenes stuff.
Yeah, I mean, it was like kind of that that was like that decision in my mind I had to make. It was like, okay, am I going to move to LA and try and make this New Heights thing happen, or am I really maybe it's time to hang up the hat and be like, you know, maybe your time is over. And like, because it was a really hard thing to swallow, you know, this dream from 2006 until 2013.
Yeah.
So I moved with that prepared in my mind, and so that made me very scrappy in the sense of, okay, I'm gonna pour everything I can into my production and like the post side of things to really try to help and elevate other artists, because I see there's this need where people are engineering their own stuff, and I can maybe help and maybe build a career from that. Because at the time too, I had a lot of influences that were producers.
Like you look at Bruno Mars, was it Skylar Grey,
Yeah.
Dream?
Yeah.
They do songs for Neo. They do songs for other people, and then they blew up themselves.
Yeah.
But I feel like they make a better living. It's like songwriters make a better living than artists a lot of the time. You just don't know who they are, kind of thing.
I think, yeah.
Like, I was very obsessed with reading CD booklets when I was young.
Right.
And I read the same names over and over.
Yeah.
And I didn't know who they were at the time, but
Yeah.
I knew that Diane Warren had to do with a lot of ballads that I loved
Right.
growing up.
Right.
Right?
Yeah.
And she's still writing music.
Yeah.
Max Martin. Right?
Yeah.
And it's, did you have that in your mind? Like, you were never going to stray from the path of music.
Yeah.
That was your career.
Yeah.
When was that definitive?
I think it was like, when I moved down. I mean, it was when I. Oh, what was
Like
definitive?
when you were like, I'm not doing anything else other than something to do with music. It doesn't have to be
Oh.
an artist, but like, music is it.
That was, man, that. Honestly, like, that was ever since the beginning. It was crazy. Like, I just kind of had this, like, vision in my mind since I was like 15. Like, I'm gonna do music. I'm going to. And I credit my parents, and I thank them, because they were very gung ho and very excited about me, you know, like pursuing music as a career. And so I'm very thankful for them. And that's kind of why I've always had that vision for myself.
At 15, did you know how? Were you mixing and producing your own stuff?
A little bit. Like, I like bought an M box, and I was like, you know, trying. Actually, no. At 15, no. It wasn't until I was like 18 that I that I bought like some recording stuff. Yeah.
What was their reason? Because a lot of artists don't actually produce their own stuff. Why did you want to do it yourself?
Well, initially it was just because, well, our producer that we were working with, it was really more like I was just want to demo stuff. Our system of work back then was like, okay, if I can just gain enough skills to start demoing things, and then we can just compile all these songs, and then we can show them to our producer, and he can help us pick the best ones, then actually record them with him. That was kind of the idea of why I started. And then ever since then, it was like, okay, well, now there's this YouTube thing where we're doing covers, so rather than pay someone, we should just do them all in-house. And so it all just kind of flowed into each thing. And then I just, through that journey of doing all these demos and stuff, I just ended up getting really, really excited about like making music myself. And I was like, oh, like, okay, I think I can produce this. And then I started working with other artists and stuff like that, you know, and then it kind of like helped.
How much do you have to, were you pursuing artists you were producing for versus them coming to you, or has that evolved throughout the time? They had to have known that you were doing that first, right?
Right. I mean, I had a lot of friends, I mean, through the community, and so it was nice that it wasn't necessarily a hard pursuant of like trying to, you know, work with established artists. It was more of just, you need anything, let me know. And so I feel lucky in that sense where it was just people that were coming to me when they had like, you know, questions or anything like that, and I was able to build, you know, like a business off of that.
Yeah. Do you make more of your income off of that versus being an artist?
No, honestly, like that's how it was before, and that's what I was like gonna, you know, stamp my income off of, was like working with artists and stuff. But it really, it's it's completely flip-flopped. Like ever since I started doing my covers and doing my own thing, like it's completely exceeded the income that comes from working with other artists.
Was there a point, like, do you remember a definitive point when that overtook it?
Yeah, it was about like 2000. I remember 2014, and you get these statements every month from, back then it was called Louder, now they're called Sound Drop, and I was doing covers, and like it wasn't until like, honestly, that like, shout out to Jason Chen, because he's the one that told me, like, I was like, you can sell covers? I thought that was like, you couldn't do that. He's like, no, I sell all my covers. So ever since then, I was like, okay, I'm gonna start you know, doing covers. Also, on top of that, just like Allie was telling me, she's like, you need some sort of creative outlet for yourself because you're working with other artists.
And Allie's your girlfriend?
Yeah, that was my girlfriend, and she was the huge contributor to all this, because she was the one that just saw that I needed my own thing too, just for me. So I started doing covers really just for me, and I would just put them online to sell and whatever if people wanted them. And it wasn't until like mid 2015 was when the statement started like turning into substantial income. I was like, whoa, like this is interesting. Like I can pay like a portion of my rent with this money. This is kind of crazy. And it just kind of kept growing. And then I just realized, like, I had all these things in my mind. I'm like, okay, if I'm working full-time as a producer for other artists and part-time, like barely part-time doing covers, what if I put all my effort, you know? So the gauge for me career-wise was, how can I get to the point where I'm making enough money to justify the switch, where I'm pursuing 100% my career. And thank God that I was able to, probably by the end of 2015, I was able to stop pursuing production clients, and solely just work on my own. Yeah, because I couldn't just give up, because, you know, I had to pay my bills and stuff, and it was just, it was at that point when I was able to.
Were you dating Allie before you moved here?
So we were dating for like 6 months before I moved. Yeah, and then and we're doing the long distance thing. I was spending all my savings to come down here once a month, and
once a month?
Yeah, I was down here like once a month, staying on people's couches, and yeah, it was about 6 months that her and I were dating, and then I ended up moving after those 6 months.
And did you live with her when we got down here?
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
That helps.
Yeah, absolutely.
And she understands your line of work.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that's what makes her so great. It's like she's the first girl that I've ever met that just gets it, you know. And not just girl, but like, she's the first person in my life that I've ever had in a romantic relationship that was like, I didn't have to explain my career to. It wasn't like, you know, she just understood it, and because she understood it, she was very supportive.
Right.
of all of that.
Right. That's awesome. And then so through, I always find like people say I don't want to change somebody, and I was talking about this with a friend last night. Change has such a negative connotation in a relationship. I think better and evolve is the better term, because I think good couples bring out the best in each other. And I mean, it might be time, dedication, or working on your craft, but I feel in the time that you've moved down here, both of your careers have taken off quite a lot than before that. And you
Thanks,
both
man.
have been pursuing it for a while, even at that point.
Yeah.
Right? And through her, you met Colton. And did you convince him to sing, or did he ask you first? I didn't even know you could sing. I don't think the world knew you could sing.
No, I didn't.
So
Yeah.
you put that up there.
So Colton and Allie have been best friends for years, like probably 10 plus years now.
Oh wow.
Yeah, and so I met him, and I just immediately I knew that I had to win him over for Colton and for Allie and I to.
Right, 'cause they're close friends.
Yeah, you know, it's like I need to get his stamp of approval.
Right.
And so, but him and I just hit it off immediately. And so, this was probably a couple years already in when he was like, "Hey, I want to do a song," and I was like, "Yeah, of course." And so, he actually came to the studio at the time. He drove all the way out to Walnut with Holland Roden. They were both on Teen Wolf together, and that was the first time I ever met Holland. And I was like, "Oh," they both came, and then. I did this, I recorded this cover of him singing, and I was like, "Whoa, he's actually really good."
So you didn't know if he could sing before?
No, I didn't know. I mean, and it wasn't until he brought it up that he wanted to record something that I knew.
And if he was awful, how would you have reacted?
I would have been supportive.
I know.
You know.
You are. I'm really mad the video's gone, because I would have loved that reaction to that on camera. No, you would have. You really would have.
Yeah.
I've been hearing this question a lot in interviews for people who produce and are actual artists. I heard Jermaine Dupri's answer to this question to Dream. Has there anyone that you went in to work with and they just completely didn't get it and it just was not happening? You don't have to say.
What do you mean? What do you mean?
Like they weren't singing the song the correct way, weren't hitting the notes. It was taking forever.
Like that you wanted to work with and then had.
No.
Or just you have worked with.
Jermaine's was he went to the studio with Whitney Houston, and Whitney Houston couldn't get the song correctly.
Oh snap!
Yeah, so he didn't know how to tell Whitney Houston
right.
how to sing this song.
Right.
Have
I ever had that? I think yes. Oh, for sure, I've had that.
What was wrong that was going on in the studio session?
Like a lot of timing stuff. I think, especially because what I'll do is that I have a very specific. I mean, it's kind of what a lot of producers do, but we'll work together, and then at the end of the vocal session, I'll have them try stuff, just ideas that I think of, and then just to capture them, and and I've had it with a few artists before where it's something kind of simple to me, because I honestly I don't have the greatest vocal run abilities, but I know that they can do it, and sometimes it's just a timing thing. Or not even just a run, but even a phrase, and sometimes people just don't get it, easily. Yeah. Easier than I assume.
Working out, or do you just give up on that concept?
I try to just get the best take of it, and then I kind of return back to it. Just because because I know that there's this meter running whenever I'm recording a vocalist. Is that there's a few meters that are running. Their voice is gonna run out, and on top of that, their energy is going to run out, because people don't realize, but when you're in a vocal session with a singer, you only have a certain amount of time, because it's it's very physical. And on top of that, every time I'm done singing, even myself, finish doing a cover, I'm beat. I am so tired, and so you're fighting against time, and so I'll just capture it real quick and try to. I won't beat it at a horse. I'll just ask them, just try it again, and just encourage them, make them feel really good. And then
You've collaborated with a lot of people over the years. Who was the easiest person to work with?
Easiest, I'd say. Honestly, I'll give this answer. It's easiest when someone's confident. So honestly, AJ Raphael. Okay. Really shout out to him, because he's been one of the easiest, because he'll just in everything. Dude, we did a cover a few months ago, and
Is this the Ed Sheeran one?
yeah, and he's just such a great musician that he did the piano take like once,
Yeah.
maybe twice just for fun.
He's a
And
piano
then
genius,
he did, and then he just did it. He knew all the chords, and then even vocally it was like easy, and he was just very trusting. I think that's when it becomes easy, is when the artist like knows what I do and likes what I do, and then they trust me.
Right.
And it becomes very difficult when an artist doesn't trust me. That's why like I like to work with people I know. It's because then they know my abilities. They know that it might sound like this right now, but they know what it's going to sound like. And it's really difficult when someone doesn't know that, and then because then they start second guessing, and they start like lacking their own confidence in themselves. They start second guessing themselves on certain takes and all this stuff. And there's only so much that me as a producer and as a music editor can do
Right.
to to stuff. But yeah, it's easy when the artist is confident.
That's interesting you gave that answer, because you two, like, I have like a top 5 people that did musical stuff in front of me behind the scenes that made me understand that there is a difference between a genius and someone who's just good, right? And with him, I went over to his house once, and he said he can figure out a song pretty quickly, just listen to it. And I've never seen anyone do this before. And we played a song for him. It was Alyssa Bernal's song off of an album that wasn't released, so I knew that he's never heard it. He hears it like 2 minutes into it, he can play the whole song. And I was like, what in the world is going on? And then there's this time with you where I was gonna say this at the end, but you reproduced a whole song that I had in front of me from scratch. You laid the drums, the keys, the guitar, the bass, and I was so intimidated.
What?
No, really. I don't know what it looked like on the exterior, but in my brain I was like, I am not worthy of being here.
Whatever, man.
Like, I am wasting his time. No, literally, that is my mindset. But I also appreciated being in that presence, because I think it's very humbling to see real people who are good at what they do. Because there's a lot of oversaturation in every market.
Yeah.
And it's hard to tell who's good if you only see the final result. If you hear a song, it's whatever. But I remember there was a moment with Calvin Harris, and he posted like how he made that Frank Ocean record.
Oh, right,
and
yeah.
it blew up.
Yeah.
Right? Because people hear songs like it's great, but if you see how it actually was made, there's so much more appreciation for art or anything, really.
Right, and honestly, that taps into something that I've been kind of preaching for a while now, and what I've been telling artists is that at the end of the day, especially in this new music industry, because we can get into that another time, but in this new music industry, quality of volume matters more than just one hit. Like virality or like one-hit wonders, they come and go, but I think Bruno is a huge candidate. Bruno and Sia, make quality quick. These people, like, then you're the one that's gonna get the work. I mean, Max Martin too. I mean, it's obvious why their careers have taken off. I'd say, just for the purposes of this point, I'd say Max Martin, because he's been consistently. Because I mean, isn't that the big thing? It's like the word genius, like, a musical genius can be a musical genius in certain ways, like, breaking down a song, playing a song in a bit, but you don't have to be necessarily a musical genius to write a pop song, but you have to be a very, very good musician with a great ear to consistently write pop songs for decades. Successful pop songs.
The song, the industry's changed so much. And
I think that that's the amazing thing. That's why, and that is the reason why I'm so excited about like the future, and especially being in LA, is because I realized, because I was always intimidated, I would always see people too and be like, that's a musical genius, or that person's way better than me, I'll never be that person. But the way that I measure my value as a professional is from the subset of skills that I have and my own ability to interpret those skills in ways for the artist. That's how I measure my success. It's like, you could talk to, I'm sure that even Dr. Dre would say this, like, have you seen The Defiant Ones?
I have.
It's incredible.
Twice.
But even like and you even notice how humble he is, even though he's Dr. Dre. He's still like, and people, I would call him a musical genius, but he would never take that on. He'd be like, no, what are you talking about? you know. So yeah, to answer your question, I think it's just or to jump on your question, it's like the if you can consistently put out great quality,
Right.
then I think that's how you win this quote unquote game.
I mean, well, I mean, yeah. Well, a lot. They say music industry is dying, but there are people that not are just selling, but they've been selling.
Dude.
Consistently.
Yeah, man. I mean, I think the traditional music industry is dying.
Right, but I
the
mean,
music industry, honestly, I feel like it's just getting started.
Exactly.
It's pretty incredible.
Right. I mean, there's a lot of. I think part of the oversaturation that I have an issue with is showing us how many people have become lazy to find the stuff they like.
Mm-hmm.
I have this theory that I feel blessed that I have a very good group of friends that I've built over the years, but I also felt like it's because I've tried very hard to meet a bunch of different people, and then you sort out and curate who you meet and find.
Mm-hmm.
And they're saying clothing, brick and mortar clothing stores are dying, but stores like Kith is killing, right? And Supreme's killing, right? And music, I mean, Adele always sells, right? Drake sells, Ed Sheeran sells, like these people sell, and I think, like you were saying, quality, and if you can keep it consistent throughout time, people notice.
Yeah.
I think people notice.
I mean, look at all the people that you mentioned right there. Like, I mean, Drake is on his what number is gonna be the next album? 7th, you know? And
mixtapes too.
yeah, I mean, like, see, and that's the thing. I mean, that's what is so hard about music is because it's I mean, even with like fashion, with anything that where art and commerce meet, it's so subjective. but so I mean, to the artists that asked me like how to be successful in this time, it's like you have to be unique within your own self, and you have to be okay with that, and then you just have to market towards the people that care about you, because there's this notion that a lot of people, like, for some reason, us as artists always want to please the people that don't care about us.
Yeah.
Like, we want to like prove the naysayers wrong. That's like our biggest thing. But
is that ego or insecurity or both?
Both. I mean, I think it's at the end of the day, it's ego.
Yeah.
And because ego is insecurity.
Sure.
And
shout out to Kanye West.
yeah, and I think I love Kanye, but yeah, and there's this notion that we have to. But like, what about all of the people that do care about you?
Right.
You know,
Right.
like, in a weird way, you're writing them off. And this is what I did for years. Like, I was always just like, I didn't spend enough time caring for the people that did care about my music, you know, the ones that were like holding me up, so to speak, the ones that were like pouring financially into like my career. I was so focused on these people that didn't care that I'm like, I'm gonna make something so good that but then I realized, like, I'm doing the people that love me a disservice. I'm not like showing them love. I'm not, you know what I'm saying? Like, I'm not, and they're the ones that I should be thanking.
You know, some people never get that concept. They'll forever live not knowing that. That's crazy that you learn it relatively quickly.
I think it's just because, like, honestly, because the record industry shut out New Heights because we had the door closed on us. We got scrappy enough to be like, okay, well, we're gonna do it our own way and independently, and that's always been my thing. Now it's like, I've been approached by a couple different labels since I was down here. They do. I mean, dude, I tell people all the time, like, be independent. Yeah, this is what I say, actually. I think that the new label is the artist team.
Yeah.
Look at Chance.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
like, or even you know, Macklemore, like these independent artists that did it themselves.
Yeah.
Their label is their team.
Right.
So it's like, it's about building something.
Right.
Like, I said this to Ali. We always had these great talks, and I said, I would rather build something so high that people have to look up at it, rather than having to answer to someone that looks down at me, you know. So that's why I always preach, like, volume in everything that you do, whether it's fashion or anything where art and commerce meet. Your brand is number one, because once you build a brand that you can stand upon, then it becomes this thing that other people want to be a part of, you know. And like, I had a friend who was down here, and he was having a really hard time, like, learning about LA and like and being a part of it, and he was very discouraged. And I told him, I was like, dude, this is not the place that you like latch onto someone else's dreams. This is where your dream happens.
Yeah.
And then people.
How much influence do you think Ali
Dude.
You're around them a lot, and they're, you know, I mean, I'm trying to say this in the most non-arrogant way possible. They're very successful.
Yeah,
right?
yeah, they
How
are.
much influence do you think that has on your mindset of how you want to
Dude, honestly, so much. Ali and I talked about it last night, and you know, not just Colton, but even Chloe. Ali and Chloe Bennett are really close friends, and they have been very integral to my career mindset, because what I realized from Ali teaches me every day, it's like she just pours encouragement into me so much, and she's seen so much of the industry. She's been here since she was 14. You know, she's made this incredible career for herself.
Yeah.
As a Asian American girl, woman, to come down here in a predominantly white industry.
Yeah. That looks down on
And
everything she is.
and make a career and now have a role as, you know, as not the Asian girl, but as the girl.
Right.
You know.
Character.
Yeah, it's amazing. So she's encouraged me so much. She's helped me kind of navigate, you know, my career. And I told her last night even, I was like, you really helped me understand the value of because before I moved down here, I was just kind of a yes man. I would do anything for anyone. And I kind of went through some stuff with other people before, and it just kind of proved to me that, like, you know, maybe I'm not giving myself enough credit, and I'm just kind of letting people walk on me.
Sure.
And that's kind of what she helped me get through. Was she always tells me, like, you're valuable. You know, you shouldn't be doing everything for anyone. Your time is valuable, and that's kind of the biggest encouragement that she's given me.
All right, man. So I have a few segments, topics.
Yeah.
That I want to go through. So I have this thing called Please Explain. I just dug up a lot of your stuff and just things that I want to further. I mean, some of it seems obvious, but I want to know what happened that ended. So Charlton, right? Is that how you say it? Charlton?
Yeah, Charlton.
Okay. Who created the name? It's you, Ali, and Colton.
Yeah.
Right? Who created the name? Why did in that order? It makes the most sense. Who's the one that pointed that out?
Honestly, it wasn't any of us. It was.
Is a fan do it?
Yeah. I mean, you know, Colton has all these fans from around the world, and they're awesome, and they're so supportive. And it was just through, you know, all of us hanging out a lot that it became a thing. I know that, like, he had, like, fans have made them up between, like, they had Emily and Colton. Emily is on Atreo, and they had Empton. They make up these, like, hashtags, like, of combining, and so it was one day someone did it, and I was like, oh, that's funny, and then Colton, like, made a shirt that says Charlton on it.
Did he really?
Yeah. So it's just kind of evolved. So we just kind of
I love it. I love
kind of run with it.
Creative, nickname hashtag thing going on. So you have this thing where you put quotes every 3 posts, or is it every 2 posts?
I was doing that for a while, and then I switched it up.
So, were you the one that came up with that, or did someone else give you the idea?
No, I was working with a social media company at the time, and they gave me that idea because someone else was doing that. A few people were doing it, and so they were like, maybe you should do something like this because you are into quotes and stuff. And so I kind of went with it, and it just kind of stuck, and it was great because I was always looking for quotes. I mean, I just always am.
Yeah, people are looking forward to that.
Yeah.
Yeah, every time.
Yeah, it's cool.
So I've noticeably noticed, that's a pun. I think it's since you moved to LA, your wardrobe, shoe selection,
Yes.
everything has gone up.
Yeah, shout out to Mike Kim for being the one of the biggest inspirations for me becoming, I don't want to call myself a sneakerhead, but at least falling into this subset of a community.
But the funny thing is, you've curated it up really nice. Because, like, quantity is nice, but you've narrowed it pretty, like, correctly. I don't know
Thanks,
what you're
man.
reading and what you're looking at to get there. But I remember, looking at your collection after a while. And I think it was the moment when Yves Saint Laurent, Chelsea.
Yeah.
And I was like, what is going on? I was like, oh my god. I like called Stacey. I didn't even tell her. I called her.
Really?
I was like,
Oh,
hey,
gosh.
Go look at this. And I don't know why. I think this might have been before you could send photos.
Yeah, for sure.
Because now we just send each other stuff.
Yeah.
And we're looking at that, and then, like, just some small stuff like your denim jackets, the way you're piecing things together.
Thanks,
Is
man.
that Ali too, or is that just you?
No, honestly, I mean, it was just like I've always like. This is such a weird thing to say. I've always been into fashion. Well, I've always like, you know, I'm a musician, so that's kind of like goes hand in hand. And then, I mean, I shout out to John Mayer too, because John Mayer's like you see, he's completely flipped up too.
He's like a sneakerhead legend.
I know he
He's
really
a watch
is.
legend.
He totally is.
He's a streetwear legend.
He's amazing.
Yeah.
And I think just what happened, and you know, like the purists of sneakerheads and of streetwear, I'm sure like are dying inside by like the continued hype beast, like these hype kids that are just ruining. But for me, I was never a culture that I was ever a part of, and then I've just started to realize, you know what, the big turning point was when I noticed how, this is gonna get really nerdy, when I noticed how the silhouette of an outfit is completed by a shoe. That's when it all blew my mind. Honestly, I think it was maybe when like the first like Yeezys were coming out.
Sure. Yeah.
Because for me, as just like outside looking in, I was like, I'm not sure about that shoe, but the silhouette of the outfit, it totally makes sense.
Sometimes if you piece it separately, it looks off. But when you see it together on a person,
yeah,
it makes a lot. Which is why I think traveling helps a lot. Because when you go to different cities where they dress differently, you're like, wow, I never thought about wearing something like that before.
Right.
And
yeah, I mean, and that's kind of where everything changed for me. Then I started to, and it's weird, like how, like I never used to drink black coffee when I was growing up, and then at like 21, my friend.
You started drinking black coffee at 21.
Yeah, and then at 21, we didn't have any creamer at all at this company I worked for, at all, and so I was so tired. My friend just made me like some coffee, and I remember like almost throwing up when I first had it, and I would have to drink it like this, like plug my nose.
But now that's pretty much.
I can't drink it with anything.
Right.
Like I can't.
Right.
So it's just, you know.
My first was when Elia, my daughter, was born. That's the free thing they had in the kitchen.
Oh.
Right.
And you're tired.
And I needed to get quick. Right.
Yeah.
I didn't sleep the first 2 days.
Wow.
Because she was born at night, and I went to work. So she was born at night. By the time we got to the room, it was like 1:30 in the morning or something. And the nurses were teaching me how to like swaddle.
Yeah.
And, like I was changing diapers like every 15 minutes.
Oh my gosh.
I went to work the following day.
I can't believe you went to work.
Hospital. Well, I mean,
you couldn't find a sub?
No, you know the greatest thing I think is it's hard to replace me, or my father. We run a small business.
Yeah.
But the worst thing is if you want time off, you can't be replaced anymore.
Right.
So that's
That's
where,
true. That's true.
The pros and cons. But yeah, I didn't sleep for like 2 days.
Oh my gosh. And so then you had black coffee first, right?
And then ever since.
Ever since. Yeah.
Even this morning I got up.
Yeah.
We went out, got coffee.
And honestly, it's really healthy. It's really not bad at all for you. I mean, it's literally 5 calories, and no sugar. Just on the other end of things, it's really good for you.
How much do you keep track of numbers?
What numbers?
Like YouTube hits, or how much you sell. You know what your top 3 viewed videos are?
No.
What do you think your first one is?
Style?
I think that's obvious.
Yeah.
Swift tweeted your video, so
I'd say style.
How did that feel?
So that was crazy. That was insane. I dropped my phone. Yeah, it didn't crack though. I called my mom.
Click to see if it was really Taylor Swift? I did.
Yeah. No. So long story short, I ended up. I got all these. I thought Colton had tweeted me, so because I started getting all the notifications.
Colton has that kind of effect too.
Yeah, and so I just thought. But usually they're like people that just reply to him, but then I'm just tagged in.
Right,
You know what I'm saying?
Sure,
so it's not to me. It's like, so I'm like, okay, so I just need to like go turn notifications off.
Sure, like I understand what that feels like.
So then I ended, and then I saw a comment on YouTube, and someone said,
You didn't even see the tweet first?
No, because it was like,
oh, because it flooded your feed probably.
And so then someone said, congrats on the Taylor Swift shout out. So then I was like, what? So then Ali told me her, because I looked up at Taylor Swift, and I was like, this is not her Twitter handle. What's her Twitter handle? Ali was like, Taylor Swift 13. And then
the 13 kind of throws it off.
Then my big old mug was right there, and that was insane. She actually tweeted the wrong link to the video because someone ripped my video, and posted on. So she, but then what's cool is that people were able to navigate their way, into finding. So like that one video, I don't know if it's taken out, but it's fine because like the way that YouTube works now with Content ID, you can still monetize off of ripped videos, so it's fine.
Okay, so that one gets the Taylor Swift effect. So number 2, what do you think it is?
One Last Time?
No.
7 years?
Yes.
Oh, 7 years?
Yes.
That one's crazy. I can't believe that one was like, because it's not reflected. Oh, let me just tell for anyone that's listening that thinks that like it trickles down from like YouTube to
Right.
other ones. It
Right.
doesn't. Honestly, it's
Right.
very, very different.
Right.
So like the 7 years amount of
You know how you
streams
can
on
figure
Spotify are nowhere near the views on YouTube. And then even like one of my biggest song actually I checked today is Clean, a cover by Taylor Swift's cover, and that's #1 on Spotify, and it's not anywhere near the top on
That's
YouTube.
interesting.
Yeah, they're just different communities.
Yeah, that's true too. That's true. And then 3,
I don't know.
Craving You. With,
Oh really?
yeah.
Oh wow,
Yeah.
that one jumped up there.
Yeah.
It was cool actually. Yesterday I saw this awesome country DJ Cody. Shout out to him. He tweeted about it. He has like a TV show on the CMT network, and he like tweeted about it and tweeted it out to his fans, and so yeah.
All right, so for those of you that don't know, I'm a retired hip hop artist. I don't rap no more. But top 5 dead or alive is a big, big topic in the hip hop community for rappers, right?
Mhm.
So top 5 in any particular order, fashion pieces that you own. It could be a shirt, shoes, clothes, jewelry, accessories.
Top 5. Okay.
Top 5.
#1.
Oh, in order. Okay, number 1.
Yeah. #1 would be my Jade Pierce, my Saint Laurent boots. Those are #1. Thanks,
so
man.
jealous of that.
And you know, I remember we rang in the new year that year in Miami, and I remember we were at the Soho House. So
Is this when you met Clive Davis? And was it Timberland? with
I
you?
didn't meet them. No,
Serena
my
Williams
my
was there?
friend knows
I'm name
them.
dropping like I met them.
I was just
wasn't even there. I heard.
we had dinner with Serena, and then they just showed up, and then I was just mind blown.
You know when I knew we lived 2 distinct lives but exact same lives? When you said you were watching the Super Bowl with Serena Williams, or maybe somewhere else, I can't remember.
No, it was.
And you said she was making tacos.
Yeah.
And I was like, dang man, we're similar because I eat tacos at home too. But we're not similar because I don't hang out with Serena Williams.
Yo, congratulations to Serena, by the way,
yeah,
and Alexis
yeah.
for their baby and for their wedding. But yeah, she honestly, like, meeting her is one of the most incredible things I've ever done in my life. I mean, I ain't gonna lie.
You actually say in your life that you know someone who's the best at what they do. No questions asked.
I mean,
It's like, I mean, how many, like, what are we looking at? Her, Michael Jordan.
right.
What are we
I mean,
looking
I
at?
guess like LeBron right now.
Right. Or a Jay-Z type of person.
Yeah, like,
That don't happen.
see, and this is why it's so cool, is because it's not knowing her like and like the social aspect that's cool. It's knowing her personally and realizing that even her, with the accolades, with everything, she in her mind the world does not revolve around her. She's so humble. She's so giving of everyone. So that's why I always am like, I said this one time in an interview. I was like, when you move to LA, you can't have an ego, because there's always going to be someone else that's bigger, better, smarter, faster, whatever.
Or some young kid that's trying to take your place.
Yeah, there's always going to be someone. And then also too, it's like when you get to the top of these people, like Serena, like she's going to go down for the rest of time.
Right. She's in
You know,
she's in the history books.
she's in the history books. Yeah, cemented. And even her, she just realizes that like she's a person and cares for her family and realizes that, you know what I'm saying, and doesn't have an ego. It's incredible, and that's why I'm so thankful for being able to be so close with certain people.
I think at her level, you can't figure that out unless you know someone that knows them, because if they did a documentary, there'd still be speculation that they're doing it for the camera.
Dude,
and if they do whatever, right? So
dude, honestly, like we saw her. We went to Indian Wells. No, we did go to Indian Wells. We saw her play. This other time we saw her, and she had lost. This was actually
was
the
that
Super.
when that guy made that comment?
Yeah. So this was this was no. This was.
Was it after? Or was it before?
It was like last year when she the Serena Slam, and then she lost.
Uh-huh.
It was actually at the Super Bowl, or when we were watching Super Bowl. The first thing she came up to me and said, she said, "I suck." And I said, Serena, no. Like, what are you... You know what I'm saying? So for her to have this capacity that... Because it's easy for someone...
What are the rest of us?
Like, yeah, like...
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying,
Yeah.
though? I think that's why it's so important to...
Maybe that's what drives her to be so great.
Totally. 100%. Like, that's all... My whole point with this is, like, people need to realize they can never have an ego. You can never have an ego. There's no excuse. Because ego is the enemy. There's a great book. That's the name of it. Ryan Holiday. Yeah. Love that. Ego is the enemy. So, like, stop it. Anyone that you think that you're good or think... Like, I understand your value,
Right.
but get rid of that ego.
Right.
Because even the greats don't have it.
We went from a Saint Laurent boot. to
Oh, shoot. Sorry. Yes.
incredibly
So...
in-depth- No, that was a great insight.
Sorry.
Yeah.
No, so Saint Laurent boots. I did pick up this bomb. I love it. I got a Saint Laurent denim jacket
Yeah,
recently,
it's beautiful.
but it had to be like an XL because Saint Laurent runs so tiny.
Yeah.
But that one, and then my what else? Top 5. Yeah, now I don't even know. Like my breads.
Okay.
My breads, I really like them.
Yeah. No Yeezy in there?
Yeezy, I mean, yeah, I've got
You're
the.
the only person I know has gotten Yeezy through the app.
I mean that. Yeah,
That's
I don't
ridiculous.
know.
You got the pirate? Is it the black joints?
Yeah.
You
Yeah,
got
the
it through
first.
the app. I remember when I was asking how much you got it for. Dude, I got it on the app. I was like,
Yeah.
what?
Dude.
Everyone takes an L.
I
Except
can't.
Travis, apparently.
And that was the only one I got.
He's not even an underdog. To be honest.
I tried to get the other ones, man. No. Thanks,
The
man.
circle you keep is very important because I don't know if I directly or indirectly model it the same way, but having friends and people you're with, the way you talk about Ali, she's so optimistic and she believes in you and your abilities, and she doesn't deter you. She actually points you in the right way and keeps you moving when you don't even want to move. And someone like Colton too. You know, I was watching Wonder Woman on the plane down here, and I literally almost cried.
I love that movie.
And it's for not the same reason that most people, I think, is this. There's never been a better time to be a minority,
Yeah.
female,
Yeah.
or whatever was being oppressed before. I'm
Yeah.
not saying it's great yet,
Yeah.
but it's never been better, and it hopefully keeps getting better. Having
Yeah.
a daughter and seeing that movie, I was like, man. And watching Rolls and Alley's, it was like, girls are gonna believe they can do
Yeah.
anything.
Yeah.
And that's such a powerful thing.
Powerful.
And then this actually helps me, like my career, is your professionalism. Without getting into too much detail, we did a show once, and something bad happened to you. And you texted me what happened. And I thought we were going to leave and we weren't going to do the show because it was that bad. And you went on stage and put on the most amazing performance. Engaged with the crowd. I don't think I've ever seen you perform better.
Wow.
And then we
Thanks,
left,
man.
and you weren't in a good state again. And that's when I realized there's a difference between a professional and an amateur. An amateur can't and will be altered by personal life feelings and can't work. And that is something I definitely always try to think of. If something happens in my life when I go to work, and vice versa, I try not to let it affect it because I have to perfect my craft and as a husband and as a father to be as best as I can be. And I can't do that if I let outside influences mess it up.
Yeah.
And I know that you don't know the story because I've kept it for today. I didn't know the video was going to run out, so I
That's
guess
all
we're going to
good.
have to do a second episode at some point in time.
Sounds good, man.
Your sexy face.
Always.
Thank you so much, man. Travis,
Of course.
thank you. Oh, by the way, before I forgot, the name change, or we can keep it for next time. You chose to change it because you went by Travis Graham when you were with United.
Yeah, so Travis Graham is my like legal name, but actually my full legal name is Travis Atreo Erilyn Graham. So Travis Atreo is my first name.
Yes.
I've just never Filipinos usually hyphenate.
Yes.
That's a very big thing in
Yes.
Filipino culture. So Travis Atreo is hyphenated. It's always been my real name. I just have never told anyone. So then when it came, my mom always told me, she's like, that would be a good artist name. And I was like, all right, well, let's do it.
That's awesome. Listen
Yeah.
to your mother. You know, we just shook hands with no video running. Like we're being recorded right now.
That's how you know.
We love this guy. All right. Thank you, Travis.
Thanks for having me, bro.